Hi, my name is Dylan Hong, and I want to have a serious discussion about autonomous vehicles. For those of you who don't know, on June 30th, Tesla released an article on their blog titled, "A Tragic Loss." This statement covered information pertaining to a death that occurred while someone was using Tesla's autopilot. According to Tesla, this was the first known fatality after over 130 miles have been driven using autopilot. Among vehicles in the US, there's approximately a fatality after every 94 million miles. And worldwide, this statistic is even worse, with it being 60 million miles. While this shows that autopilot in its current state is able to reduce the risk of driving, it's not enough yet. On average, the general public will start to trust autonomy once the rate of error is about 1/10 of what it was manual. Manual meaning a person doing the job. This roughly translates to the public trusting autonomous vehicles once there's only a fatality every billion miles driven. Of course, fewer is what we're aiming for. So just by looking at the computer program aspect of it, you might be thinking, how could this possibly drive 100 million miles or more and then randomly, just one day, mess up bad enough where someone ends up dying? In the case of this accident, all of the variables that could have lined up to result in this death lined up. The statement from Tesla reads, "What we know is that the vehicle is on a divided highway with autopilot engaged, and when a tractor-trailer drove across the highway perpendicular to the Model S, neither autopilot nor the driver noticed the white side of the tractor-trailer against the brightly lit sky, so the brake was not applied. The high ride height of the trailer combined with its positioning across the road and the extremely rare circumstances of the impact caused to the Model S to pass under the trailer, with the bottom of the trailer impacting the windshield of the Model S." And if you start looking at all these variables, you realize how specific everything had to have been for this accident to occur. And by accident occurring, I mean it became non-preventable from the software. This model of analyzing error is called the Swiss cheese model. Imagine all of those variables as slices of cheese. The holes in each slice of cheese are the small but important possible values that variables could hold to end up in a big error. When you stack up these slices of cheese, you begin to see that where there was a hole in one slice, the next slice will cover it. But somewhere, no matter how small on this stack of cheese, there's one spot where you can see completely through because all of the holes just happen to line up. And unfortunately, this fatal crash was that tiny little spot. If the tractor was brown, or if it were a cloudy day, or maybe the trailer would be lower to the ground, or any countless variables had been slightly different, this accident may not have occurred. There's also been a lot of discussion about blame, like who should take the blame, the driver or Tesla? In the future, where all of this is figured out, it'll be a legal decision, but right now, it's up to us. At least it's up for us to talk about it and discuss it and just figure out what makes the most sense. It's worth noting that Tesla's autopilot warns you multiple times about keeping your eyes on the road, keeping your hands on the wheel, and it'll actually alert you if your hands aren't the wheel for a long period of time. And it does clearly state that the user is completely responsible for the driving of that vehicle, even when autopilot's enabled. When errors like this occur, we're able to look at all the variables and see and learn from it, so maybe future developments of the software and hardware can account for a lot more things. The placement of the sensors, the field of view, and the amount of contrast that a camera will take to determine whether or not something's an object or just noise. Figuring out the signal from noise is one of the hardest things a lot of engineers have to deal with today in other projects. But while it's extremely unfortunate that this death occurred, we will learn from it, and future users of this technology will be safer because of it. And while I feel nothing but empathy and remorse for those who were personally affected by the loss, this terrible accident could be the catalyst that sparks development into projects that save countless lives in the future. Self-driving cars will be the standard eventually. They will get to that point where it's below one fatality every billion miles driven. But as with every drastic leap in transportation technology, things happen, errors occur, and those errors have the chance of resulting in loss of life. Autonomous vehicles will be here, but the road to mass adoption will not be an easy one. Aside from figuring out technical issues, we have to decide about moral issues as well. When a self-driving car is put into a situation where it can't save everybody, what should it do? If it does one action, it could save the driver but end up killing 5 people, or it could save 5 people but end up killing the person who purchased the car. How do you determine whose life is more valuable? If you think about it, these self-driving vehicles that will ultimately make the roads much safer must also be designed to kill. My point in saying all of this is that as many lives as the autonomous vehicles could save, the legislative process is going to take longer. We're going to end up being in a state where we could have much fewer deaths, but just because of legal reasons, we can't have self-driving cars yet. And I personally don't think that we can let unfortunate but inevitable errors stop us from making this push toward this technology. If we let instances like this slow down our progress, we won't be pointlessly losing lives because of new innovative technology, but we'll be unnecessarily losing lives because our society wasn't ready to embrace this technology. But this has all been my opinion, and I'd love to know your thoughts. If they're the same, different, anything, I'd love to know. Comment down below and let's keep the discussion going. I'd love to communicate with as many people as I can. This has been a different style of video, but I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I'm Dylan Hong from Dylan Hong Tech. Thanks for watching.